This weekly stock market update is for October the 22nd, 2010. Volume was extremely light today. Dow finished down 14 points. S&P 500 finished up 2 points, and the Nasdaq finished up 19 points. Nasdaq was the biggest leader again on the backs of Baidu and Amazon reporting earnings, both beating top line estimates. This week the Dow Jones finished up 69 points, 0.6%. S&P 500 finished up 6 points, about almost 0.6%, just about the same. And then the Nasdaq finished up 10 points, 0.4%. Taking a look this week to see what sectors performed the best. Services finished up first, followed by industrial goods, and then financials. Financials led by Wells Fargo having good news, and then Citibank reported on Monday they beat. Zion reported better than expected earnings. Basic materials finished worse today, followed by utilities and healthcare. Now on the healthcare note, VTR finished down, and for utilities, EXC symbol reported worse than expected earnings, and that weighed on the utilities during this trading session. Looks like the small cap stocks finished in the top three, followed by mid caps and nano finishing first. The volume today was deathly. There were still some things moving, and it was basically just continuation plays. A lot of people are talking about it's like the year 2000 now, because what happens is right as soon as a stock reports good earnings, the institutions hurry up and they just buy it right up, and then you see the stock gapping up a few points, multiple percent basis very rapidly and frequently. If you see the stock report good earnings, institutions are buying what they like and they're selling what they don't like. That's basically it. So a lot of times you're really getting rewarded. It's been like this ever since earnings season started, just to be in the position. It's crazy how many companies are reporting better than expected earnings, at least on the top line. And then as soon as that happens, I could point out at least 10 stocks right now that reported last week that the institutions just bought up, and if they miss on the top line in revenue, they're selling them off. Alright, I'm looking at the US dollar futures right here. We traded over 15,000 contracts today. We finished down about 38 points, closing at 77.25. And then we had, I don't know what news happened, but we hit a low of 74.60. Our currency is just being devalued on a regular basis, and it really doesn't seem like anything can be done about it. I told you guys we were headed for that 74.21 level, which was the December of 09 low. And like I said, we hit that low print of 74.60 in the after hours. This is really starting to scare me, because I feel that if there was another terrorist attack, the banks would be closed and maybe the currency could be devalued even more and potentially slip past that 74.21 level and then continue even lower. It's really a scary thought, but nothing's changed in the dollar. Let me switch to a 1 hour time frame. We've been on a rapid decline all the way down here. We could draw a nice trend line. We did get some buying on Sunday evening, and then following into Tuesday after hour session, and then that continuation soon died and declined back down to the 77.25 level, and then we had that low print, and it's very close to the 74.21. Since then we did rebound just a little bit, and we're back up to the 77.25, and now the markets are closed. And that's probably in anticipation because of the G20 meeting. It's definitely going to be discussed in this meeting what's going on about the currency manipulation and the trade wars. Some of the leaders that led this S&P 500 this week, I put on my list right here, and you guys could take a look at them. Starting off right here, we have Massey Energy, Wells Fargo, CompuWare Corporation, eBay, huge earnings beat, Monster Worldwide, Anadarko Petroleum, DeVry, SunTrust Banks, they reported PH, which bought out Tommy Hilfiger, I believe. Medtronic, PNC, that was on my long list for today. COF, they reported, I believe it was Tuesday, and they beat on earnings. They initially sold off, but then they rallied up in the next two trading sessions. Fifth Third Bank, Sprint, MMC, PCB, Schlumberger, which had a huge earnings beat today, Iron Mountain, Baxter, T-Rowe. These are all of them today, guys. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Go ahead and write these down. Maybe you should go over them this weekend so you'll have something to look forward to for next week's trading. I usually go and I get the best ones that I could find, and I create a basket and I track the basket all together. Alright, so I'm now looking at the S&P 500 from a 5-year chart. I have it zoomed in a little bit, and we have this downtrend that took place ever since the late 2007, and it connects to the May pre-flash crash high, which is around this 1125 area. Then we also have this other uptrend that's connecting through the March bottom we had, and then it's riding all the way up, and I connected it through the low in late August. To me, it just seems like the bulls still have control for the time being. Dips are being bought aggressively, and we just continue this slow grind up. The VIX has very low volatility right now. The volume has been light, but we do continue to go higher and edge up. Realistically, speaking from a technical perspective, we got past that 1150 area, and ever since then we've had a little bit of wiggle room, but it just seems like they're really trying to gun this thing to this 1200 level. And they might, if we get to 1200 and we zoom right past it, because 1200 is definitely another psychological level. You know, 1250 could easily be approached this fourth quarter, and if we don't go down next week, it's going to be because of earnings once again. And it just seems like that if you think of these elections coming up and everything, my opinion is most of the moves already priced in whatever's going to happen, because hedge funds have people that just think about the future, and their reasons are really already factored into the decisions they make when purchasing or selling a stock. So from late August, when we landed around this 1040 level, and that's when the buying started taking place, when we formed this nice base down here, we've had a very small tight range over the past 5 trading sessions. It's only been about 25 points, and that's, if you think about it, that's really not a lot. So today we got to close at 1183.08, which is right here. This 1190 is going to be a decent level, and then it looks like this 1185 area. If we can get over that and then hold it and break past 1190, then we're definitely going to get to that 1200 handle. And we definitely need to hold this uptrend that we have right here. So prices are still bullish until proven guilty. Now taking a look at gold futures, and we've dropped down this week from this 1388 high, and we got to close today at 1327.90, finishing up about 2 points, and we're resting right on this uptrend that we have that dates back from the early parts of August, late July, when we put the low end of 1155.60. Since then we had that rally that made us get past this 1266.50 level. That was the high from June, and then we just had that huge run. And it's really pretty crazy to say this, but it seems like gold has been leading the market up, along with the weakening dollar that works inverse with the financial indexes. What we could see this week is if gold holds this 1219, which is a level that we put in. We hit 1217.50 today, but we quickly got it back above the 1219 level that I have as key support, and we got to close above it. So as long as we could hold, the 1319 level, that's the critical level, then we could likely get a pop and get the 5-day moving average starting increasing again and hold that ascending trend line, and things could look bullish. I looked at the miners chart, which I'll pull up in just a moment, and it looked like there could be some buying early next week. Alright, so if we get hold above this level right here, then we're going to look for this 1339 and 1344 level as our resistance short term, followed by, of course, the 1350 psychological level. Now 1300, which is the other psychological level, will be approached. I can assure you that if this support gets broken. Alright, so now I'm looking at the GDX, the Gold Miners ETF, and I'm connecting a trend line from the beginning of February that touches the late parts of July, and then it just glides all the way up to land around this 5110 level. If we can't hold above the high we put in pre-flash crash, then we'll eventually get a move back down, see past the 54 level, which is the pre-gap up back here around September 13 area, which was on heavy volume, and then eventually get a move back down to the ascending trend line around, like I said, 5110. We did breach and hold below this ascending trend line that was short term from late July, and then we gapped down, but that's because gold had that violent move down. It could only go up so much before a lot more people were taking profits. But the good thing is that if you had your tight stop placed in the markets when I called that gold long out, then you would have been protected, and you still would have caught the 40 points of move on the upside before it did go back down on you. Alright, so I'm looking at the Dow Jones transportation average right now, which finished up around 19 points today. It looks like that we're still bullish in this. We still have a rising uptrend, which is connected through the lows that we put in along the way on the climb higher, and from the look of things, it looks like we will approach this high that we put back in the early parts of May around this 4,814 level. So if we get a break next week, I say it's past this 47.55 area, we could get our move then up to 4,800 and eventually 4,814. Now taking a look at crude oil, which traded 226,000 contracts today. We gotta hold below our resistance at 82.12. I did like the things that I did like about crude this week is we held the rising uptrend that dates back from the last month, connecting on this whole bullish run. Every time we get below it, we get bought up, and you see this other critical 80.11 level that continues on being bought up with heavy volume. Even on these significant down moves, it still is bought up, and then they continue making it go higher. Now for next week, if we could hold past 82.12, I like crude to head back up and retest this 82.12. Yeah, we'll test this 84.12 level. Alright, so I'm now taking a look at the semiconductor index real quick, the SOX, and the SOX is again bullish. It held this rising uptrend, and then we connected our trend line to it, and it's still rising. 350 was a major support level, and then when we were right at this 341 level, they bought it up aggressively, bullishly. That's when everyone's saying that we were going to continue down and break this uptrend, which did not happen. So we continue to be bullish on the semis, and if we could break past this 358 level next week, I believe we could get up to 370 fairly quick. Alright, so the last one I'm looking at is the Riffin Financials Index. We have this descending trend line dating back from late April, and we continue to be stuck in the consolidation around this resistance level right here at 800. Next week, if we could get some buying that comes in and we could hold this short-term uptrend, I think we could get a move to approach the 800 and financials could go up. Alright guys, I'll get you guys a video out on stocks hopefully tomorrow. Have a great weekend.